did you want to come here?
It's just not my role right now. It's time of the year. Getting ready to try to play another preseason game.
Rich, you've turned around a lot of special teams units that you've taken over the years. Since you're taking part of your time away from doing that right now to talk to us, can you tell us how that process is going and maybe how it compares to the other turnarounds you've engineered?
I think the process has been going well. It's moving in the right direction. There's a lot of collaborative effort going into the players that we've brought in and the players that we're coaching and the direction that we're trying to go for different preseason games, from practice to individual drills to group drills. And so I think we're a work in progress, and we'll just hope to keep seeing improvement as we go along.
Rich, how these last 2 days of practice help you with your guys on teams, and going against a guy like Darren tomorrow night will help?
Going against who?
Was either from the Saints coordinator?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're not going against each other. We don't play. But the Saints have a tremendous unit. I think they were a top 5, top 7 unit a year ago. They've got some really good players. I thought the practice went really well. It was physical. There was a lot of detail work that got done, especially on the second day. I think we were very deliberate in the drills that we were trying to do. Probably both of us, perspective-wise, we're trying to see body position and hand position and ability to finish type things. We worked hard on the flyers on the outside. So going against a good group like that in a practice where a lot of the guys can get that kind of physical work up close was good for us, and now we'll see how we progress into the game.
Rich, how much help has Keyshawn, Nixon, Rico, Gaffer, Donald Lovett, guys who played for you, been able to help you in establishing what these guys want?
Yeah, I think they've, and along with Byron Storer and Michael Spurlock, those guys have all been in the system before. So Mike has played in it, Byron's played in it, and now to get a chance to get some other players that have been a part of our system, how we like to meet, how we like to finish things, the body position we like to be in, my personality a little bit, to explain that to them maybe when I seem to have an out-of-body experience, that they can kind of they do a good job of bringing the player back in our room. So I think it's been good for us.
Rich, we've heard the term "we fence" for the first time a lot recently. How long have you been using that term, and where did you create it or pick it up?
I don't know if I created it. I'm sure I stole it from somewhere. I'm probably much better at stealing things than I am inventing things. But it's just been something that there was a point in college where there wasn't a lot of attention paid to special teams, and I was fortunate to be with a college coach that thought it should be an emphasis, that one coach, like offense and defense, should be in charge of coming up with the game plan and use the other coaches to coach the players. So when that started to happen, we started to look at the punt team, and you have, like I talked about before, a linebacker next to a tight end, next to a running back, a receiver on one side. It just became, I don't know, something that we could all do together, right? It wasn't just guys that played on offense or just guys that played on defense. It was something we could all do together to help our team win, and it's just kind of grown from that. Now, Coach LaFleur has done a great job of making it a part of our vernacular around here. I think we're appreciative of that, so that's kind of how it started.
Who was that college coach?
I'd say Sparky Woods at South Carolina.
Rich, how has Mason looked kind of as he gets closer to returning?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the timeline. I know he's improved every day, and he's done a good job with Flea and those guys, and so we're just kind of waiting on Flea and him and what his progress is as we get going. So I know he's doing well.
What do you thought of Jack Coco's kind of steady progress that he's made for him?
Yeah, I think he's been on a little bit of a roller coaster, but we're excited about where he is at this particular point. This will be another big game for him. Practices were a big deal. I think he understands that he's competing against 31 other teams. Just because there's not another one here doesn't mean we're not looking at everybody around the league or guys that may not be playing now. So I think he knows he's in constant competition.
Rich, what did you guys see from him, though? Because I know there was such a small sample size from college. What did you like about him that you thought he could potentially be a...
Well, I think we liked his physical size. We liked that he was a position player in college, and he had tremendous work ethic from what we had seen on tape and people that we had talked to. And I think, again, he's just done a good job with his body and his feet and getting himself in position to compete at the position.
Was it a lot of work for him? So, he hadn't done punt snapping in a game since high school. I mean, that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, we've had him before. Again, if a guy puts his mind to something and works diligently at it, you'd like to think if they have enough aptitude that they can get better at it, and I think he's done that.
Rich,
You're aware of the season that Amari Rodgers had returning punts last year. What's the process in building him back and getting him to where?
Well, again, I just think he's part of the process. You know, I think he's done a good job learning how to. We expect him to finish in practice, and so consequently, he had a good return in the game. I think he did a good job setting it up. I think there were some really good blocks on that particular play, but I think he's in competition as well with all the other guys that we have, along with other players around the league.
What's the biggest growth you've seen from where your special teams unit was at the beginning of camp to where you guys are now? I know there's still ways to go, but what's the biggest growth that you've seen so far this camp?
Yeah, great question. I think we're trying to learn how to finish. I think is a big thing for us. I think we're trying to figure out what the exact body position should look like, and then how to finish each one of those particular plays. What body position to be in the beginning, what body position to be in at the end. I'd like to see our roll call to the ball at the end of each play get a little bit better as we go along.
Hey, Rich, Pat was telling us the other day that he likes the fact that in your system he can just kick away often. I mean, I'm sure there's some directional, but it's not all directional. What is your thinking on when you want to be directional and when you just want to let him kick away?
Yeah, I just think we'll kind of keep that to us. But good question. Hopefully Pat doesn't give you too much information. I like to talk to him. He just had a baby. He shouldn't be talking. He should just get his work done and go home, you know.
This was a couple weeks ago. We hadn't had a chance.
Yeah, see, before the baby. No, he's not talking anymore. He's had the baby.
Rich, a guy that you had last year with Oakland, had a lot of intensity during the joint practices this week with Rasul. How have you seen him kind of channel that intensity that he shows in practice?
Oh, I'm sorry, who are we talking about?
Rasul Douglas.
Oh, yeah, again, we did have him last year. And I'm a big fan of Rasul and not only the way in which he practices on the field, but the way in which he deals with young players in the meeting room. And when he's talking to them in the locker room, and a lot of times you'll see him onto the side talking to guys when somebody else is out there on the field. He was really good for me, particularly, you know, in Vegas, and now that to be a part of him and what he's done with the turnaround for his career, you know, he's won a Super Bowl, and he's been on the street, and he's bounced from team to team. So to get up and talk to our team about some of those things also is really big. I think he's been through some adversity. Certainly you can see what his identity looks like now going through the adversity. So I think he's certainly the power of example for us in our room.
How important is it to have starters, whether it be defensive or offensive side of the ball, to set the tone like that on special teams?
You know, the starter thing is for me, has always been a little bit of a pet peeve. I just think we're all looking for players. We're trying to put together the best roster we possibly can, and on game day we're trying to put together the best 48 that can go out and help us win. And I think there's a part for everyone in what we're trying to do to win a game. So I don't look at it like that with them. I'd rather not put a starter that plays 72 plays on defense have to cover 4 punts. You know, so and I'd rather not put a starting defensive player that's been out there for a 6-play drive or a 12-play drive or a 6-minute drive and now flip around half the play on kickoff return. So I think we look at those things all the time, but I think there's places for all of our players to help us be in position to win the game, whether it's offensively, defensively, or defensively.
Hey, Rich, you mentioned Byron and Michael bringing you back when you have your out-of-body experiences. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's your player's job and our job to adjust to you. How do you think the process has gone for them, kind of understanding the way you coach, how much you care, and how much you get after their asses? Because when we talk to guys that have played for you in the past, whether it's Dallin or Alec Ingold, they all swear by you, but I'm wondering if it's a process to understand the caring and the tough criticism.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a process, right? Life is a process, but I think for me, you know, the great John Wooden, until they know you care, they don't really care what you know, right? And I think over my time, I've tried to adopt that, and I think that if they can understand that every word that comes out of my mouth is to honor their dreams and for what they want to do, what they want to accomplish, then I think they take more about what I'm saying sometimes than how I'm saying it. And I think that's what Byron probably and Mike do a good job of, is going back to them and going, let me tell you what he's trying to say. You know, I'll try to do a good job of circling back all the time, but because I have those two, and I've known Mike, I recruited Mike out of high school, so I've known Mike since he's 17. And then, you know, Byron was a free agent, and Byron got it about as bad as I've ever given it to anyone. and he becomes our starting fullback and plays on teams. And so I think having those two guys that have played in the system, have been around me, they do a good job with players, especially some of the younger guys, because I'm probably the hardest on them because they have to come in and play. So when you get in the huddle with Aaron Rodgers on offense, I think there's the hair on the back of your neck stands up, and you have to know what you're doing. Well, I'd like to think when you get in the huddle with Down Levitt, the hair on the back of your neck better stand up. You have to know what you're doing, and he's been through the process, right? So, Amos has taken over since Downs got banged up, and I thought he had tremendous 2 days. Stuck his body in there in the right place yesterday and had a great play on the punt return, had a hell of a protection on the punt. And so, again, these guys are understanding the importance and the criticalness of one in particular play being in the kicking game.
So if one of your players is on teams, was just a part of a 15-play drive, do you recognize that and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to substitute there rather than put him in the next team?
Yeah, again, part of our job is to not put a player in a bad position. Our job is to put players in a position of success where they can not only help themselves play well, but now collectively, if they're doing what they do well, then they can help us. So unless I have to, unless I got nobody else, somebody got a knick-knack and he can't go, I'd rather not do that. And I think we've explained that to them. I think they understand that, so they understand that the role that we're going to try to give them can only help us play well in the game.
Rich, I'm not a special teams expert at all. Like obviously Matt on offense, Matt has his scheme. In defense, there's 3-4 and 4-3 and zone blitz and all that. For special teams, how much of success is your scheme versus fundamentals versus effort? I guess where does all that come down?
I think it all fits. I think if you go back to my days at Clemson in '95, we're doing the same thing. So, and we're calling it the same thing, and we're, guys that I had in 2002 could walk in today and call our punt protection and call our punt returns. And now the system's expanded a little bit, but the base system has been in place for a long time. The fundamentals, the body position, where your eyes go, where your hands go, what it should look like, has been in place for a long time. So in this league, you can't go visit other teams. So when you watch tape, you're kind of stealing things that are good and try to get better and putting your own maybe spin to it, right? We didn't invent the chicken. We just try to make it taste better. But the system has been the system. And when you have good players, the system looks really good. When you don't have as good of players, the system doesn't look as good. So, talent matters. Offensively, defensively, in the kicking game, talent matters.
Two more.
Coach, a couple weeks ago, Matt LaFleur said he's learned the most about special teams from you in his whole career. What's something that you've learned from him in the times that you've worked together?
That's great. I think I've said this a lot of times. My wife told me I use zeal too much. But he has a tremendous zeal for football. He's a coach's kid. All these coaches have these young kids, and the detail that he puts into the practice schedule and the detail that he puts into the team meeting and the way in which he can get the players to play at a high level and the way in which he talks to them. It's been different for me, and I really enjoy his personality. I enjoy his ability to have a great sense of humility, but still get after your rear end in a way in which I'm like, I really wish he would have just yelled at me instead of just said it so calmly. Almost makes me feel worse. So really, and I told him again today, I do enjoy coming to work every day with this group of men, and it's led by him. So,
Rich, when it comes to returners, philosophically, would you like to have one guy that can handle both jobs? Would you like to have different guys in different situations? What's kind of the ideal for you? If you could?
Yeah, we've had them all. So I think we're looking for, again, we're practicing a lot of guys back there. We're going to try to play guys, different guys in the games, and we're just trying to look for the best guys that can, again, help us gain field position, help put us in position to hopefully win a game.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you.